Welcome everyone. Thank you for being with us on this journey. I am Diana Popa, business coach, and my special guest today is Umar Farouk Salemi. Umar is a life executive, team leadership, and NLP coach. Welcome, Umar. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Hi, Diana. Really honored to be part of this interview, and thank you very much for being me here.
My pleasure, and thank you as well for being here, for dedicating your time to actually teaching our audience on how they can transform their life. And I would like to jump straight away into our interview by asking you the first question. What is your story and how you started on this path of helping other people?
Thank you very much for asking this very interesting question. So what's my stories? Actually, my story started like a way back, many years ago when I was in a childhood. So my story started like with respect to the childhood aspect. My father was kidnapped many times, and when I was a kid, so my life was actually full of fear and uncertainties, and we used to spend many nights in uncertainties over there, that what is going to happen with us here. So but all these things like the worrisome fear, uncertainties, anxieties unconsciously started dominating in my personality. So these things become invincible part of me, but because I was totally unaware of that, so I didn't at that time choose to know about that, what actually are there, and I was just moving. But luckily, I would say luckily, so I experienced anxiety, worrisome, and stress at that time. So while luckily I was really having a very strong energy and a very strong physical strength at that time even, so I was moving very fast, but the direction was totally unclear about that. I wasn't focused at that time, so my energy was actually moving in a number of the directions, and the major focus was that to be fit in this society. And what the society value, what the society validate in me, and the whole focus was moving into that, and in that dimensions, and that invincible part was still existing in me, was still suppressing me. But despite of tackling that, I was moving to be more fit in this society, to be more successful in that way, what this society validate, and then feel clear.
Thank you so much, Umar.
Yeah, but the things was moving in that direction way. But at that time, I realized that I'm doing something wrong. I'm not going to be a settled person. So at that time, I started realizing that something is different need to be done, and I need to shift my focus from external world to my internal world. And what is that? Who I am, why I am moving, and how I am moving, who is driving me, and what are the real key to success. And starting pondering over those questions, I realized that a lot of me was not actually the part of me, that was actually conditioned by the society, that was conditioned by the parenting or things like that, that I unconsciously brought into me, and I decided at that time to shut off all these things and to be original. And I decided and commit to sacrifice all these things that would be coming in my way. And at that time, I realized that my life is getting more ease, and I'm going to dominate over these things that was previously unconsciously controlling me. And then then the fog was getting clear, clarity was going on, ambiguities was getting settled down, and direction was going to be clear. And then I started moving into self-consciousness more and more. I started realizing the perception, what I am connecting with the external world. What is my perception? What are my thoughts? What are my belief system? What are my values? What are actually the deeper patterns and behaviors I was doing unconsciously. And when I started realizing that, and when that patterns became the conscious part of me, then I felt like a flower grown in a very beautiful valley and able to cherish every moment and having a surplus sort of the energy. And then at that time, I realized what actually the life is, what actually the experience that the human can feel. Then in that moment, in a search of that realization, and then started connection to my passion, then to connect these things with my real world, with my real day-to-day life, with my real career. Because at that time I realized now I have grown to be an epitome of the positivity, optimism, humbleness, compassion, and growth. So then I decided to connect with my values and exercise, and then I decided to choose my career as a life coach as well as a trainer. Because
thank you so much, Umar.
Because that has the immense power to impact the life over the millions of the people across the world. And now my mission, is to unlock the human potential and then to separate out the fog and the shackles that the people have built around their potentials, and to cherish their moments and make them to that climax where they can experience their lives with happiness, growth, and immense prosperity.
Thank you so much.
That's all about me.
Thank you so much. I would actually like to ask you how you managed to get rid of all the expectations from the society and overcome your fears, whether NLP helped you in somehow, and how can people also do the same by using the same technique?
Yeah, so the first thing in knowing about that is the sense of realization. Is the sense of realization that something is problematic in me, not in the society. So I am actually the driving by meeting the standards of the society. So either because of the social pressure or things like that, but something I decided to do that. So the first thing was actually the sense of realization that something is wrong in me, rather than deciding to feel victimized by this society, rather than feeling like the helplessness. So I decided to commit and to take the responsibility and accept that who I am at that time, and then take the responsibility and make a firm commitment. And in that making a firm commitment, definitely in the process of the self-realization, self-actualization, NLP also supported me as well. NLP also supported me to know me about my behaviors, about my underlying emotional patterns and cognitions, as well as the belief system, values, as well as self-identities. And all these things, when came into my broader awareness, then that was the realization that this is not me. This is something that actually I am carrying over my shoulder, and this is to carry, and this need to be omit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Umar. This is very, very helpful. And I know that those who are listening to us are inspired not only by what you are teaching them, but also by your own story. And I know I cannot even relate to that. I didn't go through all of this. And definitely this is something that can leave some trauma behind. And you had the courage to overcome it and to really move forward and to learn out of it. And I would like to ask you if you know how can we apply these NLP techniques in our career and to become leaders for those who want to climb the ladder of the hierarchy, or for those who want to have a business to become business owners and leaders in their own business.
Yeah, this is very relevant question in our corporate world. What actually is happening is I'm really lucky to have worked with the leaders, and since my last 10 years, I spent with them and really worked to create their immense power for them. So in the leadership power, how the NLP can create the work. So what actually the role of the leaders actually are doing is to setting the vision, mission, and then translate that vision into the goals. So this is the thing that the NLP can help them in setting the priorities, and then what actually mean to them, what actually not mean to them. And then actually when deciding a generalized and a very compelling vision, and then to translate into the goals that are actually the challenging, that not to be so much complacent, and that not to be move the employees into the panic zone, that needs to be in a realistic zone. So NLP can help the leaders to set a compelling vision as well as the compelling goals. More broader to that, alignment is really important. So vision is not only the sufficient, alignment of that vision into each and every part is really important. Like by setting the goals, after that, what actually this organization will be looking like after these 5 years, what actually the self-identity of this organization be like, what the people will actually be feel like, what the people of this organization will be believe like. So to set that in the alignment of the belief, in alignment of the values, and to set that values very, very pertinently, and then to make that values into a daily part of our decision making. Not to let that only the values at a part of the chart board, or to just not to be put into the websites, but to make that values to exercise with, to make that values into a part of the daily decision making. And then after that, cascade that values into the belief system. How these values will be translated into the some sort of the will be moving into the cognition, into the thought pattern of the every employees, and to set that as a reminder. And then after that, moving into the very deeper level, our belief system after belief needs to be translated into the behaviors, where every leaders must need to define those specific behaviors, where those missions actually be translating into the behaviors of the daily livings, and then to translate into the external vendors, suppliers, as well as to the along with that to the customers. And then more deeper to that, align all these policies, SOPs with that things, so that all these process needs to be in alignment, reward system or things like that. It all have to be in proper environment, and then to set the culture according to that. If anything is not environmentally clicking to that in that proper system in a line or harmony to that, then these things will be causing a continuous demotivating factors to the employees. Then if these will be in a connection to the environmental things, in a culturally resonating with the employees, then ultimately the employees will be moving or pushing forward and will make that things into the part of the passion, into the intrinsic values. And ultimately in organization will get a massive results over there. And then the second thing is really important with respect to the leader is that where how the NLP can help to that. The leader's role are really important with respect to the rapport building as well as the interpersonal excellence. So while rapport building, if the leader is really knowing what the others are valuing, then leaders need to be flexible in knowing that first, and then to adjusting that communication according to the level of that particular direct reports to them, and then to make an impact rather than to impose own life over the other life. And then the third one is actually the NLP can impart a massive impact over the life of the leader by imparting a massive self-awareness over them. Because until and unless leaders are not self-aware, what they're actually doing, what their roles are, what their purpose are, what their self-identities are, what their patterns are, then unconsciously they can impose their own life over the organizational way or to the way of the employees as well. And that will ultimately not be driving the employees, but actually pushing the employees back. So NLP will impart the self-awareness to the leader to that level that will impart the outstanding, very resilient, a very emotionally intelligent attitude to their mind, and then they will be walking through into the organization and making decisions in a way that can actually be massively empowering to the whole organization productivity.
Thank you so much, Umar. I can feel your passion, I can feel your power and your energy for this topic. And this is something that I learned like in the last 6 years, is that everyone is saying that in order to have a successful business, a successful career, we need to have high energy. We need to vibrate at a certain level. How do you maintain your energy throughout the day? And how can you actually help also other people, or if there is a technique that we can all apply to actually have this power and this energy when we are going in a meeting, when we are going to, I don't know, to negotiate with someone, or when we are going in an interview or whatever it is? How can we do that?
Yeah, this is really interesting question, and a lot of people are actually struggling through this arena as well. Like, passion is not like what actually these people are sensing like that. Like, passion is not like an injection, like to externally impose over the things, over the mind or over the blood of the people. So passion is actually the intrinsically generated, and how intrinsically passion can be exercised into our daily livings when our actually values are aligned with that. When, for example, if a person is really liking the daily basis learning and he values the growth, and he is actually not the part of that culture where the growth or learning is actually the valuing, where the person is actually that person will actually be feeling like that in a deadlock, in a living a life like in a very closed sort of the well where there is actually the no way around there. So he will be feeling a continuously demotivation. So in order to have the passion, naturally, we must need to choose the intrinsically associated or intrinsically connected environment. Either that the environment where we actually spend our 24 hours, either in the profession, either at the home or things like that. So then that passion will automatically be boosting out rather than requiring any sort of the external motivation. And then with respect to the second thing that actually this passion can actually be built upon is actually to find the sense of purpose. What actually we are doing is that our doing, our daily living is connected with something bigger than us, or actually we are just moving with the flow. If moving, then ultimately a lot more we will be missing about ourselves. So we need to find a sense of purpose about that. So these are the intrinsic things that we actually can do. And then the third thing, these things, because we are a socially associated creature, so we live in a socially aspect, and social force actually unconsciously exists a lot on us. So when we operate in this sort of the things, a lot of the things like from a group think or from the environment, so get a position in us. So that can dissociate from us from our own real path. So that's the reason why what our real path is actually need to be a continuous reminder in form of some sort of the affirmative incantational statements to us that we can give to us at night or at the start of the day. And then also we need to have a vision board as well, that we must need to see on daily basis who I am and what actually I am going to be. So that's the things that needs to be on a continuously reminder on us. Then we can also adopt the visualization tactics as well as some NLP techniques that you all people can Google. Is a swish pattern, like I want to be, that I need to be continuously bombarded my subconscious mind to that. So that's all these things will remain in my continuously the part of me, and will actually be pushing back my all energy.
Thank you so much, Umar. Thank you for sharing this with us. And definitely this is something that I started to use for myself, like put little notes here and there in the house to remind myself of who I am and who I want to become. And I think this is something that not many people know how to do. Who do you want to be in the future? And sometimes we are afraid of dreaming. What would you advise those who are in these situations, who don't even dare to have a vision, to know that there is something more they could have 5 years from now or 10 years from now?
Yeah, first advice is actually to choose that journey. and that journey which is actually the route to the empowerment, rather than choosing or just considering themselves just moving and doing or spending the day 24 hours how the world is actually moving, and just go earn more and feed more and then sleep more. These sort of the things actually is not the way actually that we can find or resonate what our purpose is or what our direction that we can choose. Actually, the universe actually has designed an enormously brilliant ecosystem, and that ecosystem has a clearly placement for all of us, and our uniqueness is actually resided in us. Our whole resourcefulness is actually residing in us, and what actually we do, we actually become own stumbling block in front of us. So first we need actually to choose that intrapersonal intelligence, and rather than shifting the focus towards the outer world for a time being, for a particular specific periods of that, choose that focus towards self. Who I am, what I want, what are my driving forces, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what are my real path, what are my not real path, who I really value that. And then considering these things, start writing the journals, start finding more and more about self, and start choosing the retrospective analysis of yourself, how you spent the day, what was resonated with you, what was not resonated with you, what made you feel fearful, what made you feel angry. So these are sort of the information will be having the ample resources to know about yourself. And when we will be doing that in a specific period of the time, self-awareness will be starting escalating, and ultimately all the patterns which are controlling us unconsciously will be into our conscious awareness, and we will be having a more dominant control over them.
I love that. Thank you, Umar. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this with us. And thank you for your passion once again, because I believe it goes beyond the screen, beyond this virtual environment. Thank you so much for being today with me. I would like to close our interview today by asking you, who are you serving and how can people contact you if they want to work with you?
Yeah, my dimensions of serving is two. One is the individual, and second one is the corporate sector. So what I serve for the individuals, those individuals as a mindset coach, as a life coach, who are actually struggling with some sort of the emotional crisis in their life. Either their emotions are dominant in the form of some worries, some anxiety, some depressions, or some sort of the emotionally entanglement they are facing into some sort of the interpersonal challenges. And then along with that is a relationship traumas they are going through, and overwhelming stress they are facing, either in any part of their life is uncontrolled over there, and the self-esteem challenges they are going through. They are not having the self-belief, they are not actually having the self-confidence to do anything they actually want to do. So these sort of the things that actually I prefer to do towards the individual. Along with that, adding clarity to the people's life, like to choose the careers, what actually click or resonating with them, with their passion, with their strengths, and then also to to eliminate the roadblock they are getting in their professional life as well, and to escalate their professional growth. Along with that is the second dimension is the corporate sector, where I work as the team leadership coach as well, is to amplify the leadership competencies, their skills, and then enhance the organizational productivity. In that dimensions, I connect all these basic foundations where the team actually develop, and then to eliminate the things which actually demotivating the teams to combine as a one unit and to work comprehensively to the organizational overall mission. So these are basically the two different arenas, one for the individuals and the second one for the corporate sector.
And how can people contact you?
Yeah, people contact me through my social media accounts as well. On Facebook, I'm as Umar Farooq Salimi. And then along with that, then the people can contact me through my contact number, like the 0092 322 8423 522, as well as email Umar OMAR.trainer TRAINER COACH coach @gmail.com, like umar.trainer&coach@gmail.com.
Thank you so much, Umar. Thank you for your passion and thank you for transforming this world, because I have this inner belief that the coaching industry is making a huge contribution, that you are transforming lives and your messages need to be heard by many, many people, by millions of people. Thank you for being with me on this journey.
Thank you very much, Diana. It is really a pleasure for me to express my views and ideas, and I'm really feeling a pleasure that to provide me this platform. I'm really glad to be.
Thank you so much. For those of you listening to us, stay connected because there is so much more to come.
Thank you very much.